Welcome to This Explainer, everyone. Today, we're diving headfirst into one of Brazil's absolute most controversial, heavily documented, and, honestly, deeply chilling leaked case files. We are talking about a mystery so unsettling that local authorities literally tried to bury it for years. Look, whether you're a total skeptic or a firm believer in the unexplained, the details we're about to unpack today are pulled straight from leaked official documents, and they're going to make you question what you think you know. We're going to break down the evidence step by step to figure out exactly what happened. So let's get right into it. Picture this. It's the afternoon of September 29th, 1988, out in the wild, dense brush around the Guarapiranga Reservoir in southern Brazil. We've got an 11-year-old boy named Francisco. Pretty much every day after school, Francisco would grab a stick, a few empty containers, and head down to the water. His favorite thing to do? Foraging for dead or stranded water bugs to take home. Kind of a classic kid hobby, right? So on this specific day, he just snagged a water scorpion. But when he glanced up across the reservoir, he noticed something totally off. A massive flock of vultures was circling and landing on the far shore. Now, you and I both know vultures really only gather for one reason: a meal. Figuring it was just a dead fish or maybe a stray farm animal, Francisco starts chucking stones into the water to scare the birds off, just to get a better look. Well, the birds scatter, and what he sees makes him drop everything and run screaming back to his village. It wasn't an animal. It was the lifeless body of a man. Now, when the police and the villagers finally show up, the reactions are night and day. The locals, they actually weren't all that shocked at first. Sadly, gang violence was pretty common around there, and cartels were known to dump victims near the reservoir. Some folks even thought, hey, maybe it's just that local fisherman who was drinking heavily around here a couple days ago. Normally, in a situation like that, the police would let the villagers take a look at the body to see if anyone could identify it. But not this time. The police behavior was frankly incredibly bizarre. They immediately locked the whole area down. They refused to say a single word to the locals, and instead of just tossing a sheet over the body, the officers formed a tight shoulder-to-shoulder circle completely blocking it from view. No TV news crews were allowed anywhere near it that night. And get this, when curious villagers came back the very next morning, the entire area had been aggressively scrubbed clean. Literally not a single shred of evidence left to even show a crime scene had been there. So for 6 long years, the trail goes completely cold. People eventually just kind of bought into the drunk fisherman rumor and moved on with their lives. But then, in 1994, the dam breaks. An unnamed whistleblower inside the Brazilian government, someone who had been secretly tracking this lockdown investigation, decides they just can't keep it hidden anymore. They leak the official crime scene photos, the classified autopsy reports, and internal government docs straight to the press. And man, when the public finally got a look at these files, 2 things became instantly obvious. First, this was definitely not cartel violence. And second, it sure as heck wasn't alcohol poisoning. These documents pointed to something deeply, deeply unexplainable. Section 1. Brazil's Night of UFOs. Okay, so to really understand why the police panicked so hard in 1988 and what the 1994 leak actually meant, the source material points out that we have to rewind just a couple of years, back to a heavily documented military event in May of 1986. Brazil was already a massive hotspot for unexplained aerial stuff, but this event, known as the Night of UFOs, was on another level. It kicked off when air traffic control spotted 3 giant, incredibly bright lights in the sky, but here's the crazy part. Their radars showed absolutely nothing. Blank. They immediately scramble the nearby military base, and 3 heavily armed fighter jets take off to intercept. But the second those pilots get close, the objects accelerate to speeds that just shouldn't be possible. We're talking 35 kilometers in 5 seconds, right in front of the pilots. To put that in perspective, that's roughly Mach 5, 5 times the speed of sound. Technology like that literally did not exist. The government even had to hold a press conference to acknowledge these hyper-intelligent objects. So you can see why the whole region was already on high alert for the unexplainable. Section 2. The disturbing medical evidence. Which brings us right back to that leaked 1994 autopsy report of our guy at the reservoir. Now, a quick heads up, the clinical details here get highly graphic and weirdly pseudo-medical, but they are absolutely crucial to understanding why this case is legendary. Remember how Francisco thought the body looked perfectly fine from a distance? Well, the leaked police photos showed a terrifyingly different reality up close. There were 0 signs of a struggle. None. Instead, the autopsy recorded 4 perfectly circular holes on the body, 2 on the chest, 2 on the abdomen. And the medical examiner specifically noted these were not stab wounds. They looked like they'd been made with some sort of highly advanced drill-like medical tool. And through these tiny, precise holes, the victim's major internal organs, the spleen, the liver, the heart, were completely removed. But wait, here's the impossible part. The official files state they weren't cut out. The autopsy claims they were extracted using immense vacuum suction. Plus, there was not a single drop of blood left in the body, or at the scene. His veins were completely drained using that same suction. And if that wasn't horrific enough, his left eye, his left ear, and parts of his chin had been removed with, and I quote, absolute surgical precision. All right, to truly grasp the single most disturbing line in this autopsy report, we need a super quick biology lesson. Have you ever heard of the vagus nerve? It's a major cranial nerve running from your brain down through your body, and it controls crucial background stuff like your heart rate and digestion. Now, in cases of extreme life-threatening trauma, like a brutal attack, the vagus nerve acts like an emergency brake. It shuts down non-essential functions to prevent your body from feeling the absolute peak of agonizing pain. It basically helps the body pull the plug and shut itself off to protect you. So what did the doctors find with this guy's vagus nerve? Well, in a typical murder case, the autopsy would show that nerve as entirely shut down. But in this victim, the vagus nerve was massively swollen and hyperactive. The medical examiners drew a terrifying conclusion from this. The man was completely alive while these precise circular cuts were being made. The report actually uses a wild analogy. It says to imagine the precision of an ice cream scoop drilling down to cleanly extract tissue. He was alive while his organs were vacuumed out. He didn't actually die from the cuts themselves, if you can believe it. The trauma was just so incomprehensibly severe that his hyperactive vagus nerve literally forced his heart to stop beating just to escape the sheer unbearable agony of it all. I mean, come on, this level of surgical extraction and vacuum technology, that is leagues beyond anything a local cartel could or frankly would ever do. It really forces us to ask a deeply unsettling question here. If we actually connect those official military sightings of highly advanced aerial objects with this truly impossible medical evidence, was this guy the only victim? Section 3. The Animal Mutilation Connection. According to the source material, the answer to that question actually isn't about human victims at all. It's found out in the local farmlands of southern Brazil. And honestly, this explains exactly why the police hit the panic button the second they saw those circular wounds. See, in the days and months right after the 1986 night of UFOs, local farmers were just flooding the police stations with the strangest reports. Their livestock, cows, goats, sheep, were just vanishing. And they definitely weren't being stolen for meat, because a few days later, these animals would turn up dead out in the fields. When vets and police looked at them, they found the exact same bizarre anomalies. Precise, perfectly circular holes drilled into the animals, internal organs extracted via vacuum suction, bodies completely drained of blood. So imagine you're a cop in 1988. You arrive at the Guaraparinga Reservoir, and you see a human being with the exact same impossible surgical mutilations as the local cattle. They immediately realized the terrifying implication here, and they initiated a massive cover-up. Because if the public thought whatever was taking the animals had just upgraded to humans, it would have caused a nationwide panic. Section 4. Creator Insights and Perspectives. As we start to wrap up this explainer, I want to pivot for a second and share a really interesting perspective from the original creator who compiled all this research. In a Q&A section from the source, they actually talked about why cases exactly like this one resonate so deeply with people, especially compared to your standard true crime. They made a great point. Standard true crime is usually about predictable human motives, right? One person harming another for money, revenge, whatever. But these strange and dark files, they're fundamentally totally different. The creator loves diving into these because nature, bizarre timelines, and literally impossible technological twists take center stage. There's this whole other layer of the unknown where the normal rules of reality just seem to break down completely. The Guaraparanga case isn't just a tragic death. It's like a giant puzzle where absolutely none of the pieces fit into the human world as we understand it. And honestly, that leaves us with one heck of a lingering thought to take away today. The Guaraparinga mystery isn't just some campfire ghost story. It is rooted entirely in leaked official state documents, military radar logs, and clinical signed autopsy reports. When the very institutions we rely on to define our reality end up documenting things that are scientifically impossible, where exactly do we draw the line between documented history and the supernatural? It's a huge question, and it continues to haunt everyone who reads these files. I'm going to leave you to ponder that one. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. Stay curious, keep questioning what you see, and I'll catch you next time.